Hey, it's Nemato. Welcome back, guys, for another song from a Skiff video. It's a new year, so we're making a new song for you guys to download for free. So first thing we gotta do is fill this Skiff. Welcome back to another episode of Modular Fingers. Dude, we got a Rene. Alright, song from a Skiff. Let's skiff the shit out of this song. Alright, so the obvious route would have been to use this Manis Iteritas or the AJH Synth VCO sequence melody with the Rene, throw a kick drum behind it, and call it your latest EDM track and be done with it. But I wanted to do something a little different than that. So I'm using the Manis Iteritas oscillator for this first patch, and then I'm running that into this Prism module from Electronix. So I'm running it in the low pass filter mode, and then I'm also using the comb filter. What you can see is a lot of modulation going on. So basically I have the Zadar from XAOC Devices. This is modulating a lot of different parameters on this Manis Iteritas oscillator. So what you can do with this module is so powerful when it comes to CV modulation, because you can kind of change the envelope. You can probably see it here oscillating back and forth between all these different kind of like wave outputs, and I'm utilizing all four channels for this. All four channels. So this is channel B. You can see it kind of shifting back and forth here. Channel C, a little bit more aggressive modulation, and channel D is just kind of cycling through this different envelope. Using these four different channels, I have the Wogglebug modulating the warp setting on this, which is what's causing all this kind of random envelope generation throughout this module on all four channels. And I'm using those outputs to modulate parameters on this Manis Iteritas, like the bash, the smash. It's giving me this real kind of aggressive, grindy, rhythmic bass line. So I'm going to track in probably like 3 different versions of this, from kind of more of a punchy, short bass line to just all out grindy craziness. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, and side note, I was running in a clock from my Circadian Rhythms module over in the large case back there, running at 90 beats per minute, and then that way I can tempo sync things much easier in Logic, post-production, mixing, all that stuff. Okay, next we need to start building up our drums, so let's make a kick drum. Super simple settings here with the Manis Iteritas oscillator. So the triggering is again coming in through the Circadian Rhythms here, and then the output is just going into this AJH Synth VCO. The Zadar is providing the envelope for the kick drum, so I have it just on one of the basic kind of envelope curves, and the output of that is going into the VCO to control that envelope. The big thing here, why I'm using the Manis oscillator instead of the AJH Synth VCO, is because this Manis, it has all these different parameters that can give it just a little bit of grit to it, which I kind of like for the idea of this song. So let's track this in. Okay, so there's the snare drum, again using the Manis oscillator, but this time running it through the Prism as well, because it has this decimate and comb filter, which kind of add to this grit of the sound of the snare. And then just modulating the envelope with the Zadar again, and then here's all the settings with the Manis oscillator to make that sound. And obviously I'll probably add some reverb and things in Logic, but I'll do a little bit of arranging, and then we'll probably start working on more of a melody tomorrow. New year, new chair. Okay, today we're patching melodies. So to break down this cable spaghetti that I've got here right now, I'm using this AJH Synth VCO today for the voice and sequencing a melody with the Rene. There's a lot of modulation happening here, primarily to modulate different parameters on the Prism. And there's no specific science behind this. This is essentially working on patching for about 45 minutes to an hour until I finally came up with this kind of sweeping melody that I like the sound of. So I'm utilizing all 4 channels of the Zadar again for modulation effects, and we'll go ahead and track this in. I'm also going to add a delay effect probably in post with Logic, since I don't have a whole lot of options for delay DSP effects. So let's track this in. Alright, so for the main hook or theme of the song, I wanted to just kind of change up the melody a little bit and give it a little bit more energy for that portion of the track. So to do this, all I did was open up the filter a little bit more on the Prism. I'm adding more of the decimate or bit reduction so that it makes it a little grindier. Adjusted the melody on the Rene. It's a little bit of a higher pitch melody now. And lastly, adjusted the envelope so that it's just a slight variation from what it was. It's not so much of a sweeping motion anymore, but more of like this intense, gritty bell sound, I guess. So we'll track this part in now. Okay, and last thing that I know for sure that I want to do with this track is track in a couple hi-hat sounds, and then maybe add some kind of like gritty, distorted bass line or something that can kind of add a little bit more texture into the background of this. So I'll mess around with some of that. We'll get a couple more patches recorded, and then we'll go to the arrangement and finish up the song. As far as arrangement goes, not a whole lot to go through here. Regular EQ work, compression, using LFO tool, surprise. So I'm using LFO tool on a bunch of those initial bass lines that I had tracked in, just to kind of help get it out of the way of the kick drum a little bit. And then I'm using a bunch of decapitator on here just to add this nice kind of distortion and bring out certain parts throughout the song. And then I'm also using a bunch of these plugins from Waves, this doubler plugin, which is just kind of giving the whole track a little bit more width, a little bit more dimension. Lastly, I'm using my normal collection of plugins that I like to use kind of for my typical master chain. And then I'll run the whole track through my Aphex Exciter like I've done with the previous song from a Skiff videos. Okay, and that'll pretty much do it. Couldn't think of a better way to bring in the new year here with a track like this, so I hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, that'll do it for this song from a Skiff episode. I hope you enjoyed watching the production of this song, and if you like the song, don't forget, as usual, you can download it from my website, listed in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel before you head out of here. I will probably be putting this song up as a single on Spotify and all the other digital media stores here soon, just until I get maybe 3 or 4 more of these Song from a Skiff videos completed, and then the whole album will get released up on the digital media stores. And that's the end. I don't know why you guys are still watching. You bored? What else to do? Come on.